Some of the most intellectual and influential figures in history were believed to have had autism. To name a few, Albert Einstein, who's considered one of the smartest people in history, Charles Darwin, Emily Dickinson, Isaac Newton, Michelangelo, Bill Gates, and so many more. And for the Pokemon fans, I know some of my cousins are, Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of Pokemon, had autism, as well as both Nikola Tesla and Elon Musk. So the next time you see one of the million Teslas in Mechanicsburg, remember that autism brought that to life. When it comes to children with autism, early intervention is critical and can significantly impact their long-term development. Research from the NIH and other organizations state that between 2 to 6 years are the golden years for early treatment. Targeted intervention during this time is said to substantially improve communication skills, social interaction, adaptive behaviors, cognitive functioning, and emotional skills. Ever since Kareem was diagnosed at the age of 2, our mom, Hagir, I'm sure many of you guys know her, has jumped through hoops in order to find the best resources and programs to set him up for success. We have learned together that enrolling your child in early intervention alone is great, but the effectiveness is exponentially higher when your kid's individualized education program, or IEP, is also implemented at home. Trained professionals do everything in their ability to provide your child with the skills to cope and navigate with their diagnosis, but it is equally, if not more important, that you are practicing and building upon these skills all the time. All of you here today are already on the right track and should give yourself credit for all of the effort that you've put in towards building a strong foundation for your child's future. Kareem's mission was established for people like us to build a community, stay educated and informed, and have access to the best resources in order to improve you and your child's quality of life. We have partnered with local law enforcement agencies to implement educational training programs in order to increase recognition and awareness of autism, crisis management, and de-escalation practices. We're also open to training corporations on sensitivity, discrimination prevention, and mental health awareness. Our goal isn't to create something brand new or reinvent the wheel, as my mom likes to say, but to collaborate with existing organizations, connect families with resources, and utilize the people in our network to make information and support easily accessible to everyone. Our mom fought for years to get Kareem where he is, and that is considering that she had the means and the energy to search and fight for these resources. It was definitely a battle, but it doesn't and shouldn't have to be that way. Her vision and the goal of Kareem's mission is to share those resources and everything she's learned, because it truly does take a village, and we're here to remind you that you're not alone in this. From our family to yours, we're in this together. When you search autism on Google, it's described as a serious developmental disorder that impairs the ability to communicate and interact. I personally find that to be an extreme oversimplification. Autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, is a spectrum because it encompasses a wide range of severities, abilities, symptoms, and conditions. There is not a one-size-fits-all definition of what autism is or how it can present. I'm sure many of us here know a lot of people with autism, and you can agree that each individual has their own unique personality traits and quirks, and to recognize those differences is to appreciate them. I don't like thinking of autism as a disability or a disorder because the prefix dis implies that their brains don't function properly, that they can't adhere to social norms, which to some extent is true, but it's more that their brains function differently rather than dysfunctionally or defectively. Individuals with ASD may have trouble or simply lack interest in communication and social interaction. And this is because they look at other people as a single part of the world and rather the center of existence. People with autism are constantly forced to change who they are and mask in order to fit society's definition of normal. Rather than trying to cure something that doesn't need to be cured, we should all reframe our thinking to better understand and cope with the differences of autism. The slogan of Kareem's mission is "Embrace your superpower," because that's what autism is, a superpower. They have the unique power to see, process, and experience everything around us through a different lens. There are plenty of extremely talented individuals with autism who truly have superpowers, Look at someone with savant syndrome, for example. Stephen Wiltshire, also known as the human camera, had severe autism and was nonverbal. But despite his diagnosis, he was extraordinarily talented. Stephen was taken on a single short helicopter ride over Tokyo and was able to realistically draw the entire landscape with extreme precision, down to the numbers of floors and windows on a building, all from memory. Ellen Bordeaux was blind and had autism, and she was also able to play any piece of music perfectly after listening to it just once. She was also able to easily navigate the world despite her visual impairment by using a sonar-like chirping sound. If that isn't a jaw-dropping display of the power of the human mind, I don't know what is. That being said, keep in mind that autism and savant syndrome are not mutually exclusive, and an individual with autism doesn't need to have savant syndrome in order to be considered incredible. But it goes to my point that at its core, autism spectrum disorder is about processing. The same way that you can store information differently on your laptop, flash drive, programming code, or floppy disk, individuals with ASD just process and store information in a way that may seem unfamiliar to neurotypical people. Now, I'd like everyone to take a moment and close your eyes. I want you to pay attention to the feeling of your shoes on the ground, and your feet in your shoes, and every fiber of clothing touching your skin. Pay attention to the sound of the cars outside, the ticking of the clock, the sound of the AC, and the breathing of the person next to you. Pay attention to the feeling of your own heart beating, and your lungs expanding, and the air at the tip of your fingers. Now open your eyes and take note of all of the shapes and colors and sizes of all of the objects and all of the people around you. While you are feeling and seeing and sensing all of that, pair that with racing thoughts about anything and everything. Think about what you're going to do for the rest of the day and tomorrow and every day for the rest of the week. And now try to imagine holding a full conversation with someone at the exact same time. It's a lot, right? That's what it feels like to have autism. The brain of someone with autism functions like a supercomputer, processing a ridiculous amount of sensory information at any given moment. It's exhausting. The fact that they aren't having meltdowns all the time is a testament to their strength and adaptability. So the next time your child has a meltdown, imagine how overwhelmed they must be feeling, and on top of that, the frustration of being misunderstood. This project is dedicated to my little brother in the namesake of Kareem's mission. If Kareem has taught me anything about autism, it's the importance of understanding, communication, and patience. And if any of you know Kareem, he needs a lot of patience. One of my pet peeves, especially in regards to Kareem, is when people refer to him as autistic or just autistic. Not because I'm ashamed or in denial, but because he is so much more than just autistic. Autism is a trait and not a label. No one with autism should be defined solely by their diagnosis. You wouldn't introduce someone with diabetes as just a diabetic, because that's only one aspect of who they are. Kareem has autism, but he's also sweet and loving, adventurous and very energetic, musically talented and smarter than you can imagine. He loves playing outside and swimming, animals and songs, and all of the amazing people in his life.
What?
Fun fact about Kareem is that the only person that he is always very gentle and loving towards is our sister Malaz. Even though they have a 12-year age gap and Kareem can only communicate in so many words, it's obvious how much he looks up to her and shows his appreciation in nonverbal forms of communication. That in itself is incredible, because when a child or individual with autism shows their love and appreciation to the people they trust, it doesn't come easy. They make a conscious choice to sift through the overwhelming amount of information in their brain to be with you in that very moment and show their love. Kareem has taught me more about life in his 4, almost 5 years of existence than I've learned in the 18 years before that. Now, I'd like us to take another moment. But this time, don't think about anything. I want you to empty your mind for everything except for the name Justin Combs. Justin is the son of my mom's dear friend, Lori Combs, and unfortunately last month he took his life at the age of 21. He was not only the first person who taught my mom about autism, but he was the sweetest and most generous person that you'd ever meet. Lori is an incredible mother to Justin and has always been his biggest advocate. She left no door unopened and did everything in her ability to support him, proudly show him off, and prevent anyone from treating him differently. Lori consistently fought for him and showed him the effort, love, and attention that he deserved. Despite all of the obstacles that they both overcame, in every battle she fought, the world failed him. Because how other people viewed and treated Justin was completely out of her control. So let Justin's memory be a reminder to you every day that the only way we can create a world without hate, a world in which our family members and friends feel safe and appreciated in, is by making a conscious effort to have empathy and be kind to everyone we encounter. And let Lori and her efforts be a reminder that we are the first and biggest supporters of our loved ones. Autism has a high percentage of comorbidity with epilepsy, gastrointestinal disorders, anxiety, depression, and much more. Individuals with disabilities are 3 times more likely to have suicidal ideations than neurotypical people. They have the odds stacked against them, and this is exactly why Kareem's mission was created. As the parents, siblings, family members, and friends of people with autism, it is our duty to advocate for our loved ones. In a world that doesn't understand or chooses not to empathize with autism, we are the ones who need to be a voice for the voiceless, or a voice for the nonverbal in this circumstance. I'm going to come to an end by referencing one of my favorite speeches by David Foster Wallace called This Is Water. It was a commencement speech in 2005 about the capital T truth about adult life, or just life in general. For some context, he starts with an anecdote about a fish that isn't aware of its living in water. He explains that the point of the fish story is merely that the most obvious and important realities are often the ones that are the hardest to see and talk about. He reminds us that sometimes we are hardwired to think of ourselves as the center of the universe, and we know everything else only in relation to ourselves. Wallace states that the only capital T truth is about the real value of a real education, which has almost nothing to do with knowledge and everything to do with simple awareness. Awareness of what is so real and essential, so hidden in plain sight all around us all the time, that we keep having to remind ourselves over and over, this is water, this is water. So I want you to remember that exercise and remember all of the sensory information that our brains are constantly overlooking. We can all learn from people with autism about the power of awareness and the power of being grounded in the here and now. This will help us not only see the world differently and appreciate the beauty of everyday life, but to have more empathy, understanding, patience, and appreciation for our loved ones with autism. Because while we might be the fish aimlessly swimming around, unaware of our surroundings, people with autism are here to teach us and to remind us that this is water. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the event, and we are so excited to share Kareem's mission. Enjoy the community.